Okay, I had one more question or comment on a video that had to do with eye movement. Um, Specifically, Magical Wolf said that they were noticing that after attending a Vipassana course, that their eyes were moving while doing Vipassana. And is that correct or not? Here's what I found. So I think in the Vipassana course, in the instructions they specifically say not to move your eyes while scanning your body. I'm pretty sure they say that, but here's what I've seen. uh, if my eyes are moving, or if I notice that my eyes are moving while doing a body scan, it's a pretty good indication to me that I'm not feeling in parts of my body, but rather I'm instead imagining or picturing parts of my body. um, and yeah, almost imagining or picturing those parts of my body in an attempt to feel into that. Um, and so I'll give you a little tip of what it feels like, what it's like to feel into a part of our body, because that's not something we're familiar with mostly. However, uh, the heuristic for me is if I notice my eyes moving, then I'm imagining. So I try to pop out of that mode and try instead to feel into parts of my body. So here's something you can do to see if to try to see what it's like to feel into a part of the body. So see if you can hold your hand up in front of your face over here, and let's just take a moment to look at our hand. Uh, and you can like really look at it, and I see some wrinkles forming on my hand. I see some dry skin, so you can kind of look at it like that, just in a normal way. Okay. Now let's switch into looking at it, but trying not to um, judge it in the way that I just did. Of implicitly, I didn't say this, but when I saw wrinkles, I was like, "Oh, don't like those wrinkles." So see if you can just look at it without um, getting attached to something that's particularly beautiful, or pushing away something that feels like you wish it weren't there. So you're just looking at it. You can still notice the details, but you're trying uh, not to pass judgment on it. Okay, so now, in an attempt to see what it's like to feel into our body, I want you to close your eyes with your hand still there. And I want you to keep this hand completely still. Now, with your eyes closed and your hand completely still, how do you know that your hand is still there and that it's still yours? Let me rephrase that. What tells you that your hand is still connected to you and that it's still yours? So there's the reason I rephrased it is there's some, when I ask you that question, it seems nonsensical. Like, of course, it's my hand and it's still there just because my eyes are closed. It doesn't stop being there. So that's our intellectual, that's our rational, our reasoning, cognitive mind telling us that our hand is still there and that it's ours. But is there something else? Some of you might feel the weight. I'm feeling the weight of my hand just from keeping it in this place. Some might feel the blood flow through their fingers, through their palm, through their wrist. Some of you might notice the temperature of the air around you and how it's interacting with your skin. Some people might feel like a tingling or aliveness, for lack of a better word. So we're continuing to see if we can experience that. And now see if you can feel that same aliveness or pressure or weight or blood flow in your wrist. and in your forearm. And then we'll pause. Okay, so when we did that, we started by most of us were looking here and then closed our eyes, so we were still looking there. There was something about feeling into those internal sensations and sort of moving that feeling to a different part of our body. The best way that I've been able to describe it is that instead of being the observer that sits kind of here between our eyes and looking at a particular part of our body, the analogy that works for me is almost moving that observer perspective from behind my eyes to in my chest, and now kind of feeling into a particular part of my body. Um, I will say that when there are parts that I have a hard time feeling into, or when I'm out of practice for a while and I'm starting again, look using my eyes and sort of imagining and picturing that part of the body does help. However, to the question, I would suggest not using that as a technique, but as maybe as training wheels at best. Use it as training wheels to kind of help you out a little bit. But think of your job as not looking at different parts of your body, but feeling into them. And I think you'll find that when you do that, the sensations that you notice, um, or the bodily sensations that you notice, and your relationship to those will be a little more direct. And what I mean by that is sometimes you might be imagining, and I'm sure this has happened to others of you. I know it's happened to me. I'm sort of imagining my hand, and I'm like, I should be paying attention to my hand. But the reason I'm saying I should be paying attention to my hand is because there's something in my back or my knee that's hurting. And so clearly, if there's something that's in my back or my knee that's hurting, my attention is actually not on my hand. I might be picturing it, I might be imagining it, but the fact that it's my back that I'm feeling means my attention is actually there. So if you can reframe that feeling into as something that's like from your chest, or that doesn't involve your eyes, doesn't involve imagining, I think you'll find that you'll have a more accurate picture of where your attention actually is and what it is they're actually feeling. Um, so that's all I wanted to say about that. Uh, if you have questions or comments, please put them on the channel. I love getting these because it's a good opportunity to share whatever I can. Um, I'll say again, I've said this elsewhere on the channel, but I'll just say for completeness, I am not an assistant teacher in the Vipassana tradition. I'm just a fellow practitioner who's been practicing for many years and teaching not in the Vipassana tradition, but teaching more of a secular mindfulness class. Um, so I'll try to help how I can, but just wanted to be clear about that. With that, thanks again, and hope that's helpful.